Okay. Good evening. And welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet. It's always well, as we're going through the book, to remember that the book isn't about God or about this subject or that subject. It's all about you. And at the bottom line, it's all about the way you're using your mind. You should catch yourself if you find that you're beginning to think about something the Course has said, as though you're thinking about a disembodied or distant idea or concept that you here can consider and look at and sort of objectively evaluate and come to understand. Because as long as you do that, it's not connecting with you. Now, part of what makes the Course difficult to grasp is that it's not really addressing the one you think you are. It is addressing the one that you are, the one that you divinely are. It says things that you are capable of grasping because of what you divinely are. But as long as you're insisting that you're something else, and that you're little and tiny and puny and inconsequential and powerless, and on and on and on, you're going to say, well, this doesn't relate to me. This isn't helping me get more power. This doesn't help me at being better at what I am, meaning what I think I am. But it's all about you, and it's all about helping you release yourself from all the definitions you and everyone else mutually have made up, and which you rely upon as dependable, I'm going to say, foundations for living successfully and surviving. One of the things that we've been engaged in, and that anyone would find themselves engaged in if they were reading the Course by themselves, is the acquiring of new definitions. And one could think, well, we're just replacing bad definitions with good definitions. But we're still going to be existing in a context of definitions. No. Here's what it's like. You have a rope that you have wrapped around yourself, and you have managed to tie yourself into a very constricted position, and then you have tied some really excellent knots, and you're bound. And we're coming along, and we're saying, okay, here's how you untie this knot. And the tendency is to think that the manner of untying the knot and the purpose of untying the knot is so that you can be given a better knot. Because obviously the quality of the knots you made were not excellent because you weren't coming from a place of excellence in you when you made them. But no, we're undoing the knots so that you can unwrap the rope and become free. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying it because I want to start out this evening redefining God. Because your definition of God is one of the knots that you keep yourself bound by. The basic problem with your definition of God is that it's a noun. God, the meaning of the word God is a verb. It means being. God is not a being. That would be a noun. God is being itself. Singular, boundless, unlimited being, movement. It is a movement of mind. Well, you can talk about the word mind as though it were a noun, but it's also a verb. It is an uninterruptible experience of being conscious, of consciousness. Never inactive, boundaryless, again, singular. And this movement of being consciousness is called creation. It is what you are. Being, the movement of being, is the center and circumference, the totality of every single thing that can be experienced. We'll say the universe and even more. The flower, everything. But I want to come back to this fundamental idea. God is not a being. God is being itself. It is difficult to apply words to it. But it is exactly what you are experiencing right now. You are experiencing being. You can think of yourself as a being, but you are an unstoppable movement of conscious awareness, being conscious. You didn't trigger the spark of conscious awareness that you're experiencing ongoingly. You're not responsible for it. It just is what you're faced with and that you can't get away from. You see? It's changeless, but it's forever on the move, if you will. So now, when you read about God, and you read about the Father, you can be alert so that you don't begin to think of a being, a masculine figure with a long white beard and flowing robes, sitting somewhere at the point of authority in the middle of creation, you see. Someone you could pray to who may be generous and help you and may say, you have a little more to learn. It's not quite time for you to be free of your problem. You see, you can begin to think. You can begin to be alert so that you don't play into that. Being is like a river. Now let's take the Amazon River, because it's a very long river. The river is in movement. The river is a movement of water. Water that is not moving is a pond or a lake. A river is a movement of water. And you could take one point in the Amazon and, let's say, scoop out a cup of water, and 1,000 miles downriver you could scoop out another cup of water, and the quality of the water in one place might be slightly different because it had gone over rapids and had air beaten into it, so it's more highly oxygenated and so on. And you could begin to think as though there are parts of the river, but the river is one river. And the river is all movement. You could say there are molecules. So you can find a way to describe water as though it's made up of parts. And you could think of yourself as some of the molecules of water up here, and others of you could think you're as part of the molecules 1,000 miles downstream. And you could create within yourself a sense of having a unique experience of the movement of being. But you know what? The discrete or unique experience would be purely conceptual, because the river is a singularity. It's total. It's all one. As you begin to let go of your private, tiny, little definitions of yourselves, what you're doing is experiencing a breakdown of the sense of separation so that you finally arrive at a point where you can say, "Thy will be done." You say, "I yield to the movement that I'm part of and inseparable from. I abandon this funny activity that I've engaged in of partitioning myself off from the whole. I am willing to abandon wanting to be somewhere other than where the movement of the river has me. I yield to the movement." That's what yielding to the Father means, or yielding to God. It means allowing yourself to come back into that place of humility that allows you to fit in, and then abandon the idea of fitting in so that the movement itself can be experienced by you as the totality of you and of yourself as inseparable from the whole movement. And this is when you have the experience of being a co-creator with God, by allowing yourself to be the movement by allowing the movement to be all there is of you. You're no longer holding yourself apart. And the movement of the whole becomes available to you as your infinite conscious experience of what? Being. Not of being something, not of being God, not of being in partnership with God, another thing. But the mind that is moving, that constitutes the conscious experience of being, in which nothing of what is natural to that movement is experienced as being withheld from you. I know this is nothing new, but I'm trying to put it in different words so that it might register more fully. The culprit that disallows you from experiencing what God is as being is an idea that you have a will of your own that you can exercise. A will, we'll say, different from that which gives impetus to the movement of the river itself. Which means that you think that the little part of the river that you're in can, through the use of will, move a little bit to the right or in a direction other than the movement of the river. And this capacity to express will has created in you a sense of a self that has it, that has will. And so this will becomes the cornerstone of a definition of self. A self that has no existence, really. Because you are the movement of the river, because you're inseparable from it. You are, at this very moment, the movement of the conscious experience of being. Now, as a result, you all are a collection of conditioned responses based upon the definitions you have created or acquired and incorporated. And these constitute the box that for the last few weeks I've been telling you doesn't exist. As a result of these definitions which you've adopted, you walk through the kingdom of heaven and you don't see it. You see your definitions. Now, a while back someone objected when I used Paul as an example, saying that the Christ would never put someone else on the carpet, so to speak. But whenever I use Paul as an example, it's because it also illuminates something for him. And for everyone else, it makes the expression of spiritual truth more relevant. Now, before the gathering tonight, some avocados were needed in the kitchen. And Paul was asked if he would go downstairs and get them. He said, sure. Well, he knows where the avocados are. I mean, after all, he's very likely the one that put them there when he got home from the grocery store. And Paul went downstairs, looked in both of the refrigerators, found no avocados, came back up and said, they must be up here because there's not a single avocado down there. Well, in between the two refrigerators, there's a table in which squash and things that don't have to be refrigerated are sitting. Susan said, they're right on the table. And Paul said, I didn't even look on the table. They're supposed to be in the refrigerator. I only looked in the refrigerator. And Judy says, gotta learn to look outside the box. You see, they were there, but not where Paul knew they should be. And so he did not see them because he was not looking with curiosity. He was looking with confidence, you see. His definitions were what he was relying upon. And every single one of you walk through your day thinking you know something, and as a result of what you think you know, you miss the kingdom of heaven. And yes, an experience of the kingdom of heaven would be one where something practical, like happening to look where the avocados are, because there was an impulse to, allows you to find the avocados, to know where they are, you see. You all go through your day unless you have specifically sat down and meditated and become still and let go of your definitions. You are all going through your day truly as automatons, robots living out the expectations and the confidences that are based upon the definitions that you have adopted as factual. You don't get up in the morning and walk through your day with innocent eyes. Eyes that don't know what to expect. Eyes that are not biasing the experience of vision in any way. That's what yielding to God means when we're talking about yielding to the Father or yielding to the Holy Spirit. That's what we're talking about in practical terms. It all has bearing upon and relates to what? Every conscious experience of what? Being that you're all experiencing unavoidably and unalterably at every moment. You are living the life divine right now. You are experiencing the conscious movement of being. Being. You are not a being having an experience of being. You are being. You see, to be or not to be is not the question. There's no choice. Being is what you are right now. Not a being, but being is what you are right now. We talk about there being a place of excellence in you. We've talked about it being the altar within you. And that the need is to go within into the altar. It didn't say to go out on a stage in front of humongous crowds. It didn't say to find large gatherings of people to socialize with and to be with and to get things from and give things to. You go within to the altar. It's a very quiet place. It's a very private place. It's a place where only you can go and only you can be. Because there's no one else there other than the Holy Spirit, going there can't be used to impress anyone, can it? It can't be done for egotistical reasons, in other words. I'm going to paraphrase a statement. The student of truth is alone with his own being and the reality of things. When you go within to the altar, very often initially it's necessary to learn how to meditate and become still. And the reason is because to get to the altar, you have to leave the ego behind. You have to leave your precious right to think your own thoughts and have your own definitions. You have to be willing to leave that behind, because in order to arrive at the altar and learn, you have to be empty. At the very least, you have to be willing to let something in other than what is already there. In order to go into the altar and learn, you must become humble. Humility must characterize you when you're there. Humility is the nature of being. It's also the nature of grandeur. And all of the stuff that you can't take there is that which is characteristic of grandiosity, of the ego. Grandiosity is something that one engages in when he believes that he has accomplished the requirements necessary to fulfill a definition he's holding in his own mind about what success is. Grandeur, on the other hand, is something that is inherent in you because of the nature of being. It's a wholeness, a singularity, characterized by excellence, characterized by perfection, perfectness of symmetry, we'll say, perfect balance of form and outline and color and illumination and spirit. It's characterized by exquisiteness. Not exquisiteness that impresses, but exquisiteness that constitutes the experience of loveliness that is unsurpassable. And loveliness is love expressed.